Enter.
Now recording.
Ah, robot. Okay. Are you ready, Jeff, for use?
I just hit record, so it is ready.
Okie dokes. Start with our motto. Hey, bro, what's up? I'm Vin,
And I'm Jeff.
and welcome to our podcast. This week, we're going to try something different for specifically with romantic partners and marriage because in a relationship, there's two sides to a marriage, right? So two sides to a coin, and so this is gonna be our first test run with. We're gonna try with our partners. So me specifically with dating, and Jeff's wife on marriage. So we'll see how it goes, and if it goes really well, possibly we'll just have future female episodes. So it'll be cool. So this week it's gonna be dating and romantic partners part two, and we're gonna get the female perspective with our guest Mia. Hello. Mia is my girlfriend of 8 months. So, Mia, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Mia, Vin's girlfriend.
Nice. Yeah, she's a big speaker, if you can't tell. Well, so Mia, would you like to start off with the quote of the week?
When I chose to remove myself, when I chose to remove someone from my life, it doesn't mean that I hate them. It means I respect myself. Tiny Buddha.
Tiny Buddha. Nice. So, why did you pick this one? What stood out for you?
When I think about it, it kind of just makes me think that um, removing someone from your life isn't always a bad thing. It just possibly means that you're just removing someone that's not helping you grow as a person.
Mm. Yeah. A lot of people like they keep a lot of say just toxic, not even people, right? Things because sentiment. For me, I think the big one is sentiment. I just think people are like, oh, what is it? Sunk cost fallacy of like, oh, I put in so much time, I put in so much effort. Oh, I believe something can still change, right? And they keep the negative things in their life.
Well, it's human nature. You put so much work into something and so much time and effort, it can sometimes be hard to just cut the cord, you know, so to speak, and walk away from it. You've seen it in every aspect of life. You put 5 years into a job thinking, you're going to grow with that job and you get nowhere and you keep getting put down. It's time to walk away. Same thing can be said for a relationship. I mean, I
Mm,
personally have had a very long term relationship before my marriage. We were together almost
right.
6 years, and wasn't easy to walk away at first, but hindsight's 2020, and it was definitely the right choice.
Dude, I can't even imagine. 6 years is so crazy. For me, that's a lifetime. Like that's just
I mean, it's a big chunk of life. I mean, I'm 31, so that's a little under a fifth of my life.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Cool. So, Mia, what is dating like for a girl? Like, how has dating been for you when you like just throughout life? Um,
Um, it's been hard.
why?
I don't know. It's just I don't necessarily. I used to not pick the best guys. I used to really only. I guess I would say I would only go for looks. Like I wouldn't really consider their personality, or I wouldn't think about what it would be like further down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So when I would be with this person for a long time, all these problems would start to come up, and like just it would lead to really toxic relationship, and it wasn't fun.
Hmm. Um. What? How have you learned through all that? Like, what have you learned? What? Have are you past the looks stage? Are you like okay? Do you know what you're looking for now?
Yes, I learned that I should probably like not just jump straight into the relationship. I want to get to know the person before I actually um, continue that relationship with them. So get to know them for who they are, what they kind of stand by, you know, like what they are like in their day-to-day life. I don't know how to explain it. I just
So in the beginning, it was very superficial for you. Like,
yeah.
you know, he looks like a good looking dude. Let's see where this goes. And then trial and error, it turned out to be a not so good thing. And now you're less superficial about it. Like, yes, looks are always important in a relationship. You want to have that, physical attraction to that other person. But now you're more so like, who's going to be good for me mentally?
Yes, exactly. I want somebody to help me grow as a person.
Which is such a great thing to look for.
One. Um, do you think? Do you believe like there's a difference in dating for men and women? Like, do you think do men and women have the same struggles when they go dating, or there's different aspects to it?
I think there's different aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for women, I guess you kind of just have to. You always have to be careful because you never know what that guy is really like.
Mm.
You know, you never know if they're gonna hurt you or anything like that. But for men, I mean, I guess y'all aren't really as worried about that as girls.
Mm.
Like we always have the possibility of somebody actually hurting us,
Hurting in what way?
like physically,
Mm-hmm.
and that's always been like that's always really scary.
Mm.
But I don't think y'all have to worry about that kind of stuff because
I,
men are typically bigger than us.
I wouldn't say we don't have to worry about it, but we definitely don't have to worry about it as much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll agree 90% of the way. Like, it is still a factor. Like, there are plenty of female abusers out there.
For sure.
But I will agree it's much, much less common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the difference in men and women, like who who do you think should pay on the first date? Is that like a fun little question?
I think it depends. If you see yourself continuing to go out with this person, then probably the guy. But if you don't see yourself going on another date with them, then I think you should probably split it.
I've heard people say, oh, whoever invites the other person.
That's my thought. Whoever invites the other out should front the bill. Like, if I were to meet a nice young woman and I'm like, hey, would you like to get a cup of coffee? Right there, that's me saying, I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee. But if it rolls reverse and she was like, can I, or would you, she asked me if I'd like to go get a cup of coffee, I'm already in the mindset of, okay, she's inviting me, I'm kind of expecting you to pick up my coffee. Unless you have that mutual understanding in the beginning of, like, let's go get some coffee and you each get your own coffee and just enjoy each other's time. So I'm kind of like on every side of the fence on that one, on who should pay first.
Yeah, I'm with like whoever invited the other person should in at the very least it's split, but it's kind of like common courtesy of like, hey, you there's some kind of sentiment there, some kind of interest, just whoever hosted should pay on the first date. Yeah.
Within reason, though. Like,
Okay, yeah. If it's we're going, well, I mean that's on whoever hosted, right? It's like if you go to like a crazy expensive restaurant.
see, and I'm thinking of a very niche situation where, like, let's say I invite a woman out on a date and she goes, absolutely, but I want to go to this place and it's like some 5-star restaurant.
Right.
I'm not picking up the bill because, like, on a first date, I'm not taking you to a 5-star restaurant. Like, I'm taking you to, like, Olive Garden.
Sure. I mean, even
Somewhere
Olive Garden.
that's not considered, like, fast food, but it's not, like, fine dining.
Right. Yeah. So after that, Mia, who do you think should make the first move?
I think the guy should make the first move.
Okay. Why?
For me personally, I just think it depends on your personality, I guess. Me, I'm a really shy person, so I can never picture myself making the first move.
Okay. So even like just saying like I like you think the guy should still do that? Like, would you wait until the guy tells you that they like you?
Yes, I would.
Mm,
I mean, it just depends on every person. Everybody's different.
okay.
That's true.
I wouldn't do it. I'm so shy, I couldn't say, I like you. Like, that's just too much for me.
Mm.
Did you wait for Vin to say it first?
Yes.
She did. With the "I love you," she said that she wanted to tell me first, but she got scared that I wouldn't say it back, so she didn't say it. And the next day, I had said it. I didn't even know, and I said it the next day, anyways. So.
Because I think it was, I told him I really, really liked him. And then the next day he was like, I love you. And I was like, oh, I love you too. I wanted to tell you that, but I didn't.
Did you make the first move, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get into that story when it's her turn, though.
Uh huh. How do you feel about dating apps? Do you agree with them? Disagree? You don't like them? Dislike them?
I don't really like them because I feel like they're mainly used just for hooking up.
Mm.
I don't think anybody that uses a dating app is for, like, I think they're just using it to hook up. I don't really think there's any other point in it.
You haven't heard of success stories with like Bumble and Hinge and stuff like that?
I have.
What? Yeah.
I haven't.
So, one of my very good friends, uh, he had met a girl on Tinder, and their first date was actually at my house. They came over to play, like,
Wait, what?
yeah, like, they met on Tinder. He invited her out. He's like, hey, I'm going to a buddy's house to play, like, beer pong and stuff. Like, do you want to come over? This was in college.
Yeah.
And he brought her with, and what year was that? That would have been like 2018 ish. And now they're married.
Damn. That's awesome. See? Success story.
So there are success stories with those dating apps. I will say they're probably pretty far and few between.
Mm. Um, I, yeah, I totally get it. Like, I'm not against it. It's just not for me, right? I have much more success in person. It just feels, for me, I just feel like dating apps are kind of fake. Like, I have to make sure I have the perfect pictures, I have the perfect bio, and even if I'm matched, I still have to have the perfect one-liner to hook that person that I want to attract, right? It doesn't feel as genuine as in person, as I've said last episode was. I just try to be your friend, right? I'm just genuine. We just hang out, and if we connect well, we connect. I don't have to like fake this persona of like, oh, I'm this kind of guy and trying to get this girl or whatever. So
Well, I
that's
feel like that's what a lot of dating apps lead to is false expectations of the other.
mm,
Because just like you, I'm sure there are dozens, if not hundreds and thousands of people on those apps that are like, I need to paint the perfect picture.
mm-hmm.
But then I would argue that probably in a lot of cases, like they finally meet that person, they're like, that's not what I was thinking was gonna happen. That's not what I was thinking I was gonna see.
But isn't that more on catfishing then? That sounds more of a catfish than anything. Like purposefully.
Catfishing's more extreme. Catfishing is, in my opinion, more so like pretending to be someone else. Like if I set up a profile with your pictures, Vin, that's catfishing.
We look alike though. What do you mean? We look exactly the same.
I'm gonna slap you.
I don't see a difference.
But like, that's an extreme extent is catfishing. Like, but if you're like stretching the truth on yourself, but still using you, like I don't see that as catfishing. It's more so trying to play yourself up, which can lead to disappointment for the other party involved.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to see how y'all felt about even the disparity on those dating apps, right? I passed by a study from Economics of Education, and they reviewed that they showed on dating apps, men swiped on 61% of women, and women only swiped on like 5% of men, right? And they said that this would imply that women more selective, and they have more options. Hence, so I wanted to see what y'all thought about that. Like, do y'all feel like women have more advantages on dating apps? Right, they have more options. Or Mia, like, because weren't you on a dating app for a while? Like, did you feel like it was pretty easy to find a match?
Yes, it was because I feel like they only look at the like. I feel like men will only look at the pictures and be like, "Oh, she's cute. I'm gonna swipe right or whatever." Whereas women will actually read their bios and see what they have to say for themselves.
We lost the bot.
No, let's see why. Record up to. I'll stop recording 6 hours now. Let's try again. It's weird. Oh, not gaming.
Now recording.
It work? Okay.
He's back.
He's back. Okay, let me just download. Hold on a second. Let me just download this first one real quick. Yeah, okay, the second one. If I recall quickly, I was asking. Let me ask the question one more time. Wow, technical difficulty. That was a first.
Yeah, it's the first time the bot's ever been like, bye.
Screw y'all. I don't want to hear about this. Okay, so that's downloading. Alright, let me ask again. I forgot when it went. Okay, so basically, I said, do y'all believe there's this big disparity in like women have more advantages in dating apps, right? Do you think women have more selectivity, right? Mia, like, did you feel like it was pretty easy for you to find a partner or a match on those dating apps?
Yes, I feel that men really will only look at the pictures and be like, "Oh, she's cute," and then swipe right. But as women will actually take the time to read their bio and what, like, see if their personality will shine through a little bit. So well, I guess we're just more picky and when we go through and actually see.
But because you can be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't feel like, oh, this is hard, like this. You were just like, yeah, I got a match pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I would say that feeds into what she said earlier, though, where like a vast majority of the men on those apps are really just looking for a hookup, so they're more than likely looking at it superficially. Whereas the women on there are more so like, I'm trying to find a person to actually spend time with versus someone to just meet up with and hook up.
I also think it depends, right? Because Tinder is probably the most common of like, oh, like if you're gonna try to find a lifelong partner, you're probably very unlikely to find one as a man. I believe. I think.
On Tinder?
So, yeah, because I feel like if you go on Hinge and Bumble, you're you. I think you're gonna still have a hard time finding matches, a lot of matches, but at least you'll find someone that's more interested in a lifelong dating than just a one night stand hookup.
I'm probably not the best person to comment on most of these because I have no experience with using them myself. I only know like what my friends have told me.
Yeah.
And I do have a friend that I know is on multiple dating apps and has had no success at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I tried Tinder for like a month and I only had like 2 matches and I was like, this is so stupid. Why am I even doing this? And I deleted it immediately. I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like I had more success in person than online. So, um, yeah. Um, so then, what's your opinion on one night stands? Do you disagree with them? Agree with them?
I don't like one night stands.
Why?
I feel bad about myself when I have one night stands.
How so? What do you feel bad about?
Like just hooking up with someone and then just never contacting them again. I don't like that. It just makes me feel bad about myself. I don't know how to explain it. I just don't think it's just I think it's kind of gross.
Mm.
For lack of better terms, that make you feel like a slut.
Yes, exactly.
I don't dance around things. I call a spade a spade. I can
So
definitely
then
see that viewpoint though. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Why? So then why do you think people do those? Right? Why do people do one night stands? Even if it makes them feel, I assume that you're not the only one, right? I'm sure everyone at some point feels gross about it. Um, so why do people like keep doing it in your eyes?
I don't know. Some people just don't want any strings attached.
Mm.
They don't want to be tied down.
Mm-hmm. They just want the kind of the sex, the physical activity.
Yeah.
and then on to the next one. Vin, we know someone like that.
What?
Said we know somebody like that.
Um, a guy or a girl?
It's a guy.
Yeah.
I ain't name dropping, but we know someone that's like that.
I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. And how do you and so do you think there's a long-term effect about that if people keep going into one night stands? How do you think it affects them? You think it's good, bad, or it doesn't really matter?
I think it's. I don't know. I don't think it really. I guess it doesn't matter.
Why?
I mean, it's their choice. It's if that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it kind of detaches yourself, right? Because I believe sex is like super intimate, very like intimate thing that you're very vulnerable, right? You both are naked, you're both sharing something very intimate, and then you just kind of not throw them away, but it's like, oh, it's over. I'm gonna go to someone else, right? And especially if you're going, because you're right, right? Everyone's lives are different. Everyone can live their own life. If this is the life you want, of like, hey, I just want to have fun. That's all I want. I don't really care about long term commitment and family and stuff like that. Then it's like cool. I just believe if later on you want a family, you want like a long term relationship, I think that might be detrimental. Um, like and this is saying from secondhand experience, right? Like I've been friends or been with girls who who admit that they're like I have a harder time committing because this is all I do. All I do, I usually just dump them or just leave them, and I don't know how to stay committed because otherwise they usually just cheat, right? It's like, oh, I'm so used to having someone every weekend, every other weekend. Um, my sister, same way of like she 2 times she's found good guys and then she cheated on both of them. And I asked her, okay, why did you want to do that? And she said, well, I was horny. I just wanted to have sex. And then, her partner was not readily available right then and there, so she went and found it someone else, right? And so I told her, I was like, and then she's crying. I talked to her and I said, so what do you truly want? What do you truly want? She's like, I do want a husband. I don't want to get divorced, and I want to be committed. And I said, okay, then that's something you'll have to change. You would have to work on. Of like, you're so used to. She was on Tinder. She uses Tinder for a free meal or sex. She uses that, and I told her, I was like, I don't, I think you have a bad habit. Um, so that's my take. That's my take on like one night stands or like short flings and stuff like that when you're used to that thing.
Personally, I think it leads like long term. I don't want to say exposure, but long term having a long term habit of doing that. Honestly, I think is going to lower someone's self worth.
Lower someone's worth. Can you explain?
Self worth, like how they
Self.
think of themselves and how they value themselves.
Mm.
But it also depends on your personality because, like, I've known plenty of guys where having a high body count, they wear it like a badge of honor. But
Yeah.
then I've met other guys that, like, had a party phase in college or high school or whatever, racked up a bit of a body count. They're like, I feel bad about what I did.
Yeah.
And I've seen the same in plenty of girls that I've known. I've met girls in college and high school that had high body counts and are like, well, I'm just a slut and I guess I'm gonna stay that way. And then I've met others that have like a very low body count and they're proud of themselves for it because they're like, I'm not just giving it to anybody. They gave it to people that they thought they could see themselves being with,
Right.
and then it didn't work out for whatever reason.
Yeah, that latter is kind of where I came in. Was like I've lived my life where I I gave my virginity up around 27, right? And most people react really shocked. They're like, I can't believe you like you were 27, and and in my head, growing up, I was like, well, I want the right partner. Kind of the typical how guys talk about like I want that wifey who's a freak in the bed only for me and yada yada. They say it when you're growing up, and in my head, I was like, okay, well, you say that to me, but are you like do you just I use the word deserve, but I know it's not like the best term to use, but I'm just going to use it for the sake of the conversation is like, do you deserve that perfect girl if you yourself aren't quote unquote perfect, right? The right person. And so me growing up, I was just like, okay, I could go and, you know, do stuff and hook up with multiple women if I wanted to and yada yada. But I thought of myself, I was like, okay, well, what do I truly want? I want to be with the right person. So I was like, every time the event came up and I could have done something, I was like, no, this is not who I want to be. This is not who I want to be with. Um, Especially when, let's say, I've had events where the girl was cheating with her significant other with me, and I said, I need to I we this is bad. This is something I don't condone because it's like if I was with you, I wouldn't want to do that to you, or I would not be okay with what you're doing.
Right.
So right, so it's like because in my head I'm like, okay, if I keep going with this thing, I don't deserve I don't deserve Mia. I don't deserve the right person to show up. It's like I can't expect that at all, right? So that's the kind of take I have on these one night stands or doing anything like that is like just depends on what you want. And if oh, I'm not gonna use deserve in this sentence, but yeah. But after that, so me and I have been talking about this for the past week, but how how do y'all feel about situationships? But before that, I want us to define what the situationship is because I thought it was like a relationship without the commitment. That's what I thought was situationship, but Mia apparently it's not.
Like a friends with benefits type situation, or we're like you're dating out of convenience.
I thought it was like, oh, y'all are kind of exclusive, but without the title. Y'all just happen to be. It just happens to be the situation. And y'all just happen to keep seeing each other, friends with benefits. Um, y'all are doing coupley stuff, but without the title, without the affirmation that oh, we are together, we are a couple, and I can show you as my boyfriend. They're like, no, that's what I thought a situationship was, but Mia thinks differently.
What do you think it is, Mia?
I think I've had like a lot of girlfriends who will just be like, oh, like my ex, we were together, but we're not anymore. But he still is like getting angry that I'm going out with other guys. Like, just somebody from like your past relationship who keeps on trying to intervene with your current situation, whatever you got going on.
That just sounds
So
like jealousy.
yeah, so you're saying they have a situationship with the ex or a situationship with the
With
current?
the ex.
Isn't that just a situation, not even a situationship? Because they're not really together, right? They're broken up.
Well, yeah.
Hmm.
We're gonna take it to Google.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Take it to Google. Let's see what it
A
says.
situationship can be defined as romantic relationships with no clarity or label.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a relationship without commitment.
Okay. So if we stick to that definition, how do we feel about those?
I view that as a friends with benefits.
Ah,
That's to me that's what that says. Like you do the coupley things, whether it's going on like going to the movies, going to dinner, being physically intimate, but there's zero label on it.
Mm-hmm.
The only one of those that I've been in, oddly enough, was with my wife in the beginning.
Okay.
Like when we first started talking to each other, because like I had a conversation with her, like, I'm in it for the long haul, so like before I throw a label on this, like I want to get to know you and you to get to know me
Mm-hmm.
to see if like this can go somewhere. It didn't last long. Like it was
Yeah.
only like 2 weeks before we were both like, you know what, let's we're dating.
Nice.
But I would say like in the that first 2 weeks, it was we had gotten coffee and I think we grabbed lunch once and we were talking and getting to know each other and we had had like a couple conversations and then I was like, you know what, this girl's got a good head on her shoulders. Like let's see where this goes, and she was in the same space, so quickly went from situationship to a relationship. But other than that, I haven't really been in that type of situation. I mean, I did have a friends with benefits for a while
Mm.
before meeting my wife. That turned sour real quick.
Really? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like they wanted, like y'all wanted to date or something, or is like it just...
She did.
Yeah.
I didn't. But like I was very upfront about that. Like when it started, I was like, this is purely physical
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to go past that. And it started to go past that, and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
No,
it went downhill very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I always knew I wanted to be in a committed relationship, so yes, I remember there's one girl where she wanted to do stuff and I said no, like I like we would have to be together if we want to do stuff. And she's like, I forgot her like bad explanation, but I said, isn't that just friends with benefits? Like basically, like she just wanted to do stuff without the commitment. I said, isn't that just friends with benefits? And she said, no. And I was like, what else could it be then? What do you mean? Um, yeah, so I turned that down very quickly. So
What about you,
yeah.
Mia?
I've never been in a situationship like that. So,
Or friends with benefits.
no. I think that if you're doing, like, going out on dates and stuff like that, it should just be a relationship. Just,
Fair enough.
well, like, if y'all are going out on dates, then it's a relationship.
But you say that, so but why then? Why do you say about the one night stand? Like you disagree with the one night stand, or you say they can do? Sorry, I mixed it. You can do whatever in a one night stand, but why not a situationship then?
Because y'all are, like, going out with each other constantly. That's just a relationship.
I mean, what if it's not constantly though? What if it's just in the
Once in a while.
situation, both of you ain't got nothing to do on a Friday night?
So it seems like a situationship is like a more consistent one night stand than just one night. It's like multiple nights whenever.
I've got a story about that.
Okay.
I would like to preface this with I do not condone this person's thought process
Okay.
or how he described it.
Okay.
So, once again, back in college, I had a friend that I had met through the Veterans Club on our college campus. Textbook piece of shit. Like, he's not a good person. Like,
Sure.
when it comes to the relationship field. Like, other than that, he's an alright guy, but I did not like his views towards women.
Okay.
So he had that definition of a situationship. Like, he had a girl that he would regularly see if and when he could not find somebody else at the bar that weekend. And, like, I had a conversation with him one day, and I was like, if you're, hanging out with her every weekend, every other weekend, just when you can't find another girl at the bar, like, why not just pursue her? And the way he put it to me,
Oh no.
He was like, I view her as Steak and Shake. It's a restaurant that's open 24 hours a day.
Yes.
He was like, you're never really in the mood for it. But when it's
there.
3 in the morning and nothing else is open,
Oh shoot.
it's a great place to go. I'm like, dude, you're an asshole.
That was pretty bad.
So that's what he did. Like, he'd go to the bar, he'd try to find whoever, and if he couldn't, and the bar's closed at 2 o'clock in the morning, he'd be like, guess I'm going to Steak and Shake.
Are you still friends with him now?
Not at all.
Okay.
I haven't talked to him in 8 years.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely had my fair share of guys that just like um I don't like to use the word misogynistic, but they did have a few misogynistic views. And yeah, I just not close. I don't get close to that or at all. Yeah. So speaking of going past like the one night stands and everything like that, even before that, do y'all believe can a man and woman just be platonic friends? Mia?
I do. I mean,
Yeah.
one of my best friends is a guy.
Mhm.
I mean, we've grown up with each other. We've known each other since pre-K. We've never had any kind of romantic feelings for each other. We've always just been really close.
He's never like y'all never talked about anything like that pursued.
No.
Okay. And he's the one that's married now, right?
Yeah.
Jeff?
I think it's very possible. I believe we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, like, it's difficult for me to kind of put in perspective, because, like, I have plenty of female friends that I've never looked at in that aspect, so I do believe it is very doable, but only if neither party is interested.
Yeah.
The second one party becomes interested, I don't think it works anymore.
Right. Because you've had other guy friends growing up, right, Mia? And they did confess or they did try to pursue you later.
Yeah.
But you're still friends with them, I think.
I'm friends with. Well, we went to his concert the other night. He has tried multiple times to hit on me or say, he's always wanted to be with me and stuff like that. But I've kind of just always thought of him as a brother or like. So I can't really see myself moving forward with somebody like that.
Yeah. So I guess it's really on him that he keeps the friendship. How do you feel? Because so there's this notion with guys, not necessarily saying it's true, but like they like stay your friend until the moment you become single, and or like you hit a moment of vulnerability, and then they kind of swoop in. Do you feel like those friends, those guys that have shown interest to you, is that what they're doing? They're waiting until the day you might change your mind, or
No, I don't think so. I mean, when I was single, he never ever came back and was like, let me take you out.
He knew you were single too.
I mean, I guess there's exceptions to the rules every once in a while.
For sure. Maybe he just sometimes you just want to keep female company. So yeah. In my opinion, I've iterated this was in my life I can't. Every time we were both single, it's one of us it comes up, right? One of us, either me or the girl, and it's just like, no, I can't, sorry, and then one of us is just like, it's too hard, I guess, to keep the friendship, and then kind of have to end it. The only times I was able to keep a female friend is because either I'm taken or the other person's also in a relationship, and then there's an obstacle in the way, and we're good. So, um, so speaking of when you said, seeing my friends as a brother, how do you feel about the friend zone or the brother zone, right? Is that something you've had to use throughout your life? Like, hey, like, oh, you're just such a good friend, or you're my bestest friend. Besties are the resties. Oh, you're just a little. You did that. Okay, so we went to Lubbock for her siblings' baby shower, and do you want to explain this? And then your children.
Um, we went to my brother's baby shower back home in Lubbock, and we've had like a really close friend. He grew up with us, but he had confessed to me and told me that he liked me and he thought we could be so cute together or whatever. And I was like, oh,
And who
you're
was
the
all there? Who was all there?
my like all three of my brothers. I had some of my cousins there. I had my mom there, and he told me he liked me, and I was like, that's really sweet of you, but I really think of you as just another one of my brothers. Like, you're always around. Like, I'm not gonna think of you any other way. Like, you're a brother to me, and that's it.
You just destroyed that man.
And then, so that was in the past, right? So then this is in the present. We go to Lubbock, and we go to her brother's house, and he shows up, and then
He gives me a hug. He asks how I'm doing and everything. And did you introduce yourself to him?
yeah, I sat next to him. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Vin was tired. We had just drove 6 hours, so we went to go take a nap. And he was like, "Is he good to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, he's probably the best partner I've had. Like, he's a great guy, I promise you." And he was like, "You let me know if he treats you bad, or I'll beat him up." And I was like, "Okay." Like, he was just.
because when I first met him, and then Mia introduced him for me, and she was like, "Yeah, this is like my little brother." I was like, "There's no way she just said that right now." But yeah. Um. So, do you believe a guy could ever get out of that friend zone or brother zone? Is it possible, or is like once a girl's declared them as a best friend or a brother, it's over?
I think for me at least, when I declare them like as a brother or as a friend, that's it. That's all they're gonna be to me.
Mm,
End of the
I can't
road.
know it's any other way.
yeah, yeah. So at least with you, if that happens, it's like just move on. This if you're gonna try to find a romantic partner, it's pretty much over.
Yeah.
Mm. Shaking your head. I've told a lot of my guy friends and stuff. It don't don't get hooked on in the friend zone, brother zone, trying to get out. Just focus on yourself, move forward, and the ironic part is, you not caring as much is more attractive than you desperately trying to keep getting out of that friend zone or the brother zone.
Because then it turns into simping.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. How do you feel about simping, Mia? Like, have you ever had any simps in your life?
Yeah. I've had like a couple guys that I work with where they would hit on me and stuff, and I just really wouldn't pay attention to it. But they would always buy me stuff, bring me snacks, stuff like that. I find it's nice and I appreciate it, but it's also kind of annoying, and it kind of does get a little creepy at times too.
Why? What's the creepy part?
Like, just them constantly bringing you stuff, like you don't even ask for it, and they always have something for you. Like, they always have something, like a gift for you,
Yeah.
and that's really sweet. But like, why are you buying me stuff if I'm not showing any interest in you whatsoever?
Because they're
Like,
holding
I
out
don't.
for hope.
Yeah.
The definition
I
of simping.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe if I do this enough, they'll notice me.
I mean, they do notice, not in a good light.
Yeah, but not the way you want them to.
Yeah, exactly. I love yelling at work. Back then, I'm just telling guys. The guys are telling me like, oh my god. There's multiple stories, but I remember one dude. I remember he said, yeah. So he's like 19 or something, and he said, yeah, this girl messaged me on Facebook asking for $20, and I gave it to her, and I said, what? And I was like, when's the last time you talked to her? He's like, oh, middle school. So I was like, so it's been like 10 years. I'm just exaggerating, but multiple, at least 5 years. You've talked to this girl. She shows up randomly asking for $20, and you gave it to her. And I was like, you find her attractive? He's like, yeah. I was like, I said, no, you're simping. And he's like, I'm not simping. I'm not. She needed help. And I was like, if this guy talk. I'm not trying to be mean, but I was like, if she was less attractive, would you have given that $20? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, no, you wouldn't
You
have, because
hesitated.
hesitated, right? So I yelled at him. I was like, no simping. It just doesn't do anything. Yeah, my sister, younger sister, she has a bunch of sims, but the most recent one, the guy spent thousands of dollars on her. It was crazy, and she the whole time she's told him from the get go was like, I don't see you like that at all. Um, but she it's two sided, right? We can talk about it, but in the guy's sense, it's like she already told you she's not about you, and you're wasting time and bunch of money when you could focus on yourself and you find someone that actually cares about you, that actually wants you for you, right? So that's on the guy's part. So I try to be there for the guys and be like, hey, like let's go do stuff. Let's go do stuff to get you find you someone that actually will like you. But on my sister, then she's my sister, so I feel that I have a place to I can tell her. It's just like you're also wasting your time of like go work on yourself and then go find someone that you actually like, that you actually want to be with, not you. You're leading this poor dude on, and two, you're also wasting your time. She wasted like 8 months, 8-10 months, and then now she finally cut him off after she's done playing with him, and I'm like, that's for me. I feel bad for the guy, right? I'm not trying to chastise her solely. It's like you wasted his time and your time.
I mean,
Uh,
you got to know better in those situations, though. Like, don't fall into it. If they're not giving you that attention, stop wasting your time and money.
right. So, um,
Do you think there's female simps?
yes, for sure. I
Think
think
so?
yeah, I remember growing up, I was like 12 or something like that, and I went to Vietnam, and I think he was a family member or something, a family friend or something like that, and he had a son. The son was like 18 or 20, and he's with this girl, and they ended up actually working out. So I guess the simping actually worked out in favor. But he told me that he he wasn't interested in her, and she just kept like cooking for her and cleaning and then doing all this stuff. And I think she spent, if I recall correctly, it was like 2 years just being there for him and everything. And I guess it worked. He's like, okay, I gave her the chance, and we've been together. I don't know if they're still together, but when I saw them, I will admit, like, just looking physically at them, they didn't look like a match, if that makes sense. I mean, interacting with him and I interacted with her, and it just didn't feel like um, they were a good match. And I haven't seen him since, so I don't know how if they're still together or not. But
Hmm.
so yeah, definitely there are female simps.
Interesting.
Hmm. So, on the dating aspect, Mia, from a girl's perspective, what do you think is the best advice for men to approach women? How do you think, without being creepy, or like, what do you think is the most success for a guy to do?
I don't know. It's kind of like what you did. Like when you first went up to me, you were like, "Hi, I'm Vin." You shook my hand. You introduced yourself. I introduced myself. Just so simple. Like,
But why did that work?
Because you're Vin and you're adorable.
yeah, that's it. That's
All right,
that's
shut up.
why.
Shut up. I'm not had enough of this. Alright, keep going.
I think it was just because I haven't, like, it made me feel comfortable. When other guys have come up to me, like, and hit on me, it's usually something stupid, like some pickup line.
Hey,
Which
baby, you
ends
fall from the heavens.
Yes, exactly. But it was nice to have you just come up to me and, introduce yourself. It made me feel comfortable, like you were a friend.
Okay. So for listeners out there, I'll reiterate so she would show up to my workplace and albeit kind of stalked me, but it's fine. That's besides the point. We can talk more on that later. At some point, at the time, so as a guy, I was like, I did notice her. I thought she was attractive, but I'm like, hey, I'm focused on myself right now. I need to work on my financials. I'm not in a good place to date, right? And at some point, some stuff happened. I was working with her mom. That's what it was, and some stuff came up, and her mom's like, "Hey, she's sitting right out there," and I was like, "You know what? Fine, I'll go talk to her." And as I said last episode, was I kind of friend zone myself and like I just be their friend. I just kind of don't really. I try to mask the. My friend calls it the stank, or other words, it's like the desperation of wanting a female, and so I come up and I act as casual as possible. So I was about to leave. So I like opened the door, but you know what? I stopped, looked at her, and I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" She's like, "Good." Mia, Vin, whatever, handshake. And the thing, so we'll have to go into this, right? But my scenario was perfect because when the workplace had a Christmas party the next day. So I used that as, "Hey, are you going to the Christmas party tomorrow?" She goes, "Yes." In her head, she's like, "Oh, I guess I have to go now." But and I said, "Perfect. I'll see you tomorrow then. Cool." And I walked out. That's all I did, right? I didn't do no flirting. I didn't compliment her or nothing. I'm just like, "Hey, I'm Vin. I'm Mia. Cool. You want to party? Cool. I'll see you tomorrow then." Right? Very casual. Um, After that, at the party, what I did was, hey, I brought my sister over and I got with my friend. Right? Acted very casual. I didn't immediately go to Mia. And at the end, once I'm ready, settled in, I was like, hey, do you want to come sit with us? And she's like, yeah. And then sat with us, and then the rest is history, right? So that's kind of what that's pretty much my like strategy or tactic, right? As like Brandon last episode, he's all about like, oh, what are all the options? What are the best options to do? Go from point A to point B or anything. And for me, that's no, I don't think at all. Right? I'm just like, how would I be if this was a guy and I wanted to be your friend? How would I act? And that's how I acted. Right? Um, yeah, yeah. So good advice. So yeah, so just go for it. But so then on the other end, I want to talk about if that was my only time I was going to see you, Mia. Like for example, you just kind of showed up and I thought you were cute. I had only one chance. How would you have wanted to be approached then? If you and me noticed each other and you know, we both thought we were cute, and this was the last time I saw you, how would you want to be approached then? If you knew like, oh, I'm never coming back here, I'm never gonna see that guy again. Or would you even want to be approached at all if you?
If I wasn't ever gonna see you again,
Mm-hmm.
probably not.
Okay, so don't even try. So even
Be
if I
gone
came
from
up,
me.
so even if I came up and I was like, hey, I thought you were really cute, can I have your number?
If I was never gonna see you again,
Mm-hmm.
probably not. I would
There's no point.
no.
Hmm. Okay. Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like that's not worth?
Because I'm not gonna see you again. So like,
See you as in like, oh, if I don't make the move to contact you and then we can see each other more. But if I don't contact you, like if I don't make the move now, I'm not gonna see you, right?
So if it was someone you don't see regularly, and you just happen to see him that one time.
Yeah, at the gas station or at the mall or something like that.
yeah, I guess I would just. I would want you to approach me, but try to like ask me how I'm doing, ask me like a little bit about myself because I wouldn't just give you my number. Like if you were to introduce myself, hey, I'm Vin. Like, what's your name? can I have your number? I probably wouldn't give you my number because I don't know enough about you to give you my number.
Okay. Okay. So
So
in
make
your case,
casual conversation.
Yes.
so in your case, it like the circumstance, the situation has to be correct, right? Like both of y'all are attracted to each other. You have a little bit of time to be able to talk, and then at the end be like, hey, we probably won't see each other again. Like would like to hang out more or something like that, and then ask for the number. Wow, that's pretty rough. But hey, but that granted, that's a good insight to how you feel as a female, right? Because a lot of guys like, we do see the cute girl. We really want, we were like, oh my gosh, like this is my only one chance. But sometimes it's not worth it, right? It's not gonna be a good look. Um, yeah. So, what back when you were single? So reiterate like specifically when you were single, what were you looking for in a potential dating partner? Like at the end, after all the physical and stuff like that, what's kind of when you're talking to someone, you're going on the dates and stuff. What were you looking for?
For me, it's just someone who likes to spend a lot of quality time together. Quality time is a really big thing for me, and we don't even have to like be doing like going out to dinner or anything, but just like doing small things with me makes such a like it means so much to me. Like doing whatever we can together whenever we can.
Mm.
Like I wanted somebody who could do that with me.
Yeah.
Because in my last relationship, I didn't get to spend a lot of quality time with them.
Mm.
They didn't put much effort into that. So I wanted someone who I thought was going to put in as much effort as I was.
And also like you mentioned about being funny, right? Funny is a good. I think that's just a universal, like, just be funny, guys.
Gotta have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yes. If you don't have a sense of humor, it's so boring.
Yeah.
I want someone to make me laugh too.
Well, good thing I never make you laugh.
Sure.
Cool. Um, Colin had some. I'd asked. Colin had some questions for us. Well, he had one question. He wanted to ask us was how. Oh, actually, let's cut that out. Never mind. This one's more of a romantic partner's question. Okay, never mind.
I'll say I've got a list of questions, but they're for you guys specifically, like not so romantic partners and dating as a whole, but more so directed towards the two of you.
Okay, so let's do that at the end then. Let's put these questions at the end. Okay, so that was dating romantic partners. So, for dating, Mia, how there's been a lot of debate. Recently I've just seen a lot of interviews or just people online or articles and stuff and saying like, oh, we want the trad wife, right? If you want us to be the breadwinner, then I want the trad wife. In more crude interviews, they say, the more the alpha male, they're saying like, I want the virgin, I want the Christian woman, I want a stay-at-home mom. So what's your opinion on the traditional ways of for a woman to stay at home, cook, clean, take care of the home and the kids, and the man is the breadwinner? How do you feel about that?
I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I could never picture myself staying at home and just taking care of kids and cooking and cleaning all day. Like, I think that it should be 50-50. If I'm cooking, then you can at least clean the dishes. If I'm watching the kids, then you can at least help me clean up a bit. I don't think it should ever just be just the women staying at home and doing all that.
So in a guy's mind, I'm just saying, if they were going to be the breadwinner, if you're going to say 50-50, would you agree to work then? If
Yeah,
let's just say,
absolutely.
what if he did make enough for you to not work at all? Or would you still just go find like a part-time job or something if he made enough like.
Me personally, I wouldn't want to stay at home all the time. So maybe a part-time job, yeah. I would like to have a part-time job just so I can get out of the house a little bit. Like not just staying at home all day.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a little bit hard for me.
Jeff, your opinions on the traditional ways of life of the home?
So my goal is to make enough to where she doesn't have to work if she doesn't want to. Like, not necessarily saying like the whole traditional, like, you do all the cooking, cleaning, things like that, but like my goal was to make enough money to where if she did not want to work, she did not have to work. By all means, go get a job. You want a job. But I wanted there to be that option. Is that realistic in today's society? No.
No.
Like, I don't see any job that I could go get where I would make enough to support it. So, unfortunately, like, we're in the situation where both of us have to work, which I don't really like, but I would have liked to have been in a position where she would have had the option to not.
Sure.
As for, like, cooking, cleaning, I'd say we do it sort of 50-50, a little heavier on her side. Um, and I have started picking up my slack in that. Like, I've started cooking more meals, and, you know, I do the laundry now, and I've helped, like, with the kitchen and stuff like that. The only thing I don't touch is the bathrooms because I don't clean them to her standard. So why am I gonna do it if you're gonna do it right after me to get it to your level?
Right. Yeah. No. I I've never been a guy about tradition. I'll follow some traditions if I feel like they're cool, but yeah, each household's gonna be different. Um, I'm super flexible. You know, if I'm able to make enough, so and and then the wife can do whatever she wants. But with the home stuff, it's like I don't know where I got this from, but my dad had always made me. It's ironic because my dad's the really traditional like the what the culturally and generationally they're all about man is the hunter, the gatherer, the provider, and the woman stay at home and do everything. And but for some reason he taught me how to do all of that. Right? He not the cooking part, but he made me clean and do all the laundry and take care of things and at home and stuff like that. And it made me grow up into like yeah I'm able to take care of myself and cook and clean, make sure everything's fine, and not depend on having a like quote unquote like caretaker or mom. You're finding a mom, stay at home mom for you. Um, so ideally, yeah, it's just everything's just 50-50, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So then, what do y'all think about the kind of the modern let's go with the females first. There's a lot of like feminism where I believe they say women like they want to be the boss bee, or they don't need no man. They talk about kind of the age gap, the wage gap, stuff like that. Mia, how do you feel about those females?
Mm, I think women like that just are very independent people and are just working to achieve their own goals without having like a man. Like, because of course you don't need a man, but I think it's just they're just very independent people, and that's what they chose to do. Like, just work on themselves, I guess.
Mhm. So then, do you agree with the sentiment when they say stuff like, "Oh, they'll say, like, they'll put general blanket statements of like all men are bad, all men are toxic, or they talk about like toxic masculinity or anything like that when they go against, because I believe original feminism was about, hey, making sure it's equal, right? Men and women are equal. But nowadays it seems like seems kind of like a war between men and women of like, women are saying they literally do not need, like, men could just go away. Like they can just
Yeah.
disappear. What is your feelings on that? What is your opinions on that?
I mean, I don't think all men are or guys are toxic. There are definitely good men out there. You just have to learn how to pick and choose, I guess. I just think a lot of women have grown to dislike men, like hate men, I guess, because of all the unfair things, like typically men get paid more than women now, and I think that causes a lot of anger for a lot of women. I mean,
So we want to talk about that, Jeff. You have you want to go into that first, or you want me to sugarcoat it first?
I mean, if you want to sugarcoat it, go
Okay,
ahead.
I'll start it first. So when the women had brought that up first, they looked at the statistic, right, was overall everyone, men and women overall, making us how much money they made, right? But the problem was they didn't factor in how many hours men put in the work and women put in the work, and when you put that in, men put in more hours. So of course, if you're working more hours,
you're gonna get paid more.
exactly. And two, they didn't look at the professions the women and men go into. So men are gonna do the harder jobs like the sewage system, the bricklaying, and like, I guess, was it like professional, right? They were in higher professional uh professions.
Well,
Um,
there, like the disparity is mainly in like blue collar. A lot of men, like blue collar jobs, are 95% men,
yeah,
whereas a lot of women nowadays don't want to do those dirtier jobs. They want, like, the office jobs, things like that, which statistically pay more, but there's more people in those blue collar jobs, and there's some of those blue collar jobs that pay astronomical. I mean, look at underwater welders. They can make upwards of 400 or 500K a year,
yep,
but it's a very difficult, dangerous job.
yeah. So when they had brought up about that wage gap, a bunch of people, men and women, were like, "Hey, that study is flawed because it just looked at overall statistics without looking at the actual data." So,
Well, the
and
biggest
then when they,
flaw in it, though, is they also include the 1%. Because, I mean, you have those people out there like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon
true,
Musk, where, like, they're very successful. They created multi billion-dollar companies, and the number of, multi-millionaire billionaires out there that are men versus women is astronomically different.
yeah, yeah, I remember reading some articles where when they talked about the wage gap and stuff like that, and so hiring managers and CEOs of companies of like engineering and very typically men oriented, they're like, we want to be more inclusive, so they put out, like, they offer like, hey, any females that want to be hired here, come and apply, and no females ever applied. Some for like the like bricklaying and all the like labor jobs, they're like, yeah, like, we offer women to come, and the 20 years I've been working here, no women has ever applied, right? But it pays a lot. Like, they make six figures, and they're like, no one's coming to apply for some reason. So, that's kind of where that statistic came in about the wage gap. So, but anyways, um,
Yeah, 88% of the world's billionaires are men.
yeah. So that will make it look like, oh, men make more money than women, but not because there's a systemic, like, oh, we're gonna pay women less. It's only because men are doing the harder jobs, right? I remember watching a video where they like interviewed like people in the street, and they were like, they asked men and women like, hey, if you could get a managerial like CEO position for no pay, or you work in the sewage system for 100,000 a year, and every woman they interviewed like, I'm taking the CEO position, no pay. Every guy going up, dude, heck yeah, I'm going the sewage system for $100,000. Like that's $100,000. So that kind of tells you of like, yeah, women are gonna they want that managerial position whether it pays a lot or not. Whereas guys were like, we're gonna do whatever it takes to make enough money to survive. So like heck, if there's anybody out there with a sewage position, I'll go scoop up some poop and pee. Whatever.
The other side of the coin that I've seen though, like with this boss bitch mentality, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, you want to make that money, honey, go get out there and do it. Like, I respect the grind, but like, I do know a handful of very successful women. They have great jobs. They make good money. The biggest problem that comes into play with that though is their dating life is even harder than the everyday person because their standards are so much higher. They want someone that makes more than they do. And like, I know a girl, like, she's in a very good managerial role. She makes $175,000 a year.
Jesus.
And she's like, any man that I would even consider dating has to make 200K plus. And I'm like, you do realize that limits you down to like 1% of the
1%.
population. And she's like, oh well. And then they end up spending a lot of time alone. Like, my wife has a boss that has a similar mentality to that, and she's just now getting married, and she's in her 40s.
Jesus. Yeah. There's one of the interviews they talked about how like men even making the six-figure salary, they're willing to date the cute girl at McDonald's, right? They don't care if the girl is quote unquote a bum, but for females, when they're the ones in the interviews, they're making six figures or whatever, and they're like, no, heck, no, I would never look at a bum working at McDonald's, like, or a janitor, like they're not worth my time. So, kind of gives you different perspectives and attraction.
Dude, I was watching an interview the other day. Like, it was, I don't even remember the name of the podcast, but like, there was like 15 people in this room. It was a handful of guys and a good number of girls, and the guys were like going around the room asking, like, how much does a man need to make for you to consider dating them? And like, I'll say it varied. Like, there was a handful of the girls that were like, oh, as long as he's got a decent paying job and we can pay the bills, it's fine. But it gets to this one specific girl, and she was like, he needs to make at least 500K before I even look at him.
100K.
500K, $500,000. And
Oh,
the guys were like, how much do you make? And she's like, well, I make 50K. And he was like, so you want someone that makes 10 times more than you do before you'd even consider giving them a second glance? And she's like, well, I know my worth. And he was like, you need to take a look at yourself.
no. Not bad. Yeah. So, speaking of, how men and women view like dating differently, what roles, Mia, do you feel like you play in a relationship? I guess in a relationship with me and you, how do you feel? Do you feel like there's a role you have to play in, or do you feel like there's roles given in a relationship between you and me?
I think there's any relationship as long as we're there for each other, willing to listen to each other, just here whenever you need me to be.
Okay. Interesting. Because from my perspective, and I believe Jeff can go with this, I feel like my role is to kind of, I need to provide, I have to figure out how to provide and then also protect, right? That's kind of, I view as my role, right? I need to make sure you feel safe when you're with me, right? You feel good at home whenever you're with me, because if I feel like I would fail as a boyfriend if, for example, I didn't go to the gym, I didn't work out, or I'm not strong, because my baseline is super weak. I'm a very weak person naturally. So it's like, okay, I need to make up for it. I need to go to the gym, make sure I'm big and strong enough to where no one's gonna mess with us. You know, they look at us and look at me and they're like, okay, like that's respectable. I'm I'm not gonna do anything. Um, the moment a guy's just like disrespects me and you and our relationship, I feel like I failed. Right? If I let them disrespect us, providing, like I feel like if I stayed at McDonald's or something like that and I just like never moved, even at McDonald's I just like stayed as an employee, I feel like I failed. Right? um, that's kind of the roles I feel like I have to play in a relationship, and especially when I become a father, it's like I make sure I provide for the family, and I provide as a father of like I'm there for the kids, right? I'm not a deadbeat. I make sure like I need to make sure I can um, be there for the kids with school, with extracurriculars, and they have a father to look up to when things go bad or they feel unsafe, and they're like, where's my dad? And I'm there. Bless you. Jeff, how do you feel about your roles? Kind of agree?
I figured we'll get into my roles when we talk about marriage.
Okay, true, true. That's true. You're right. You're right. So when I talk about that, Mia, does that change anything? Does that make you have any more ideas with roles, or it's still for you? You're like, no, not really any roles. It's pretty.
I don't think I have a role. As I still think that I just need to be here to support you.
Mm-hmm. Even if one day you become a mom.
When I become a mom, it's gonna be my job to provide and care for the baby.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So then, speaking of like just roles and stuff and just relationships, what what do you think makes a relationship work long term?
Being able to communicate with each other. That's something we've been working on.
Nice.
I know that in my past relationships, I had a really hard time communicating with them. And they obviously didn't work out, but with you, I want it to last. And I want us to be together for a while, so I'm trying to put in that work and try to get better with my communication skills because I know that that would help make this work long term.
Nice. Yeah, no, yes, because I think without communication, right, things there's misunderstanding, misinterpretation of things, and if you don't communicate, you're just it's just brewing. Anything, any problems, any negativity, it all kind of just holes up, brews over time, and then one day y'all blow up at each other, and the breakup happens, the divorce happens, stuff like that, because y'all aren't able to communicate and how to resolve it and compromise, right? Um, Cullen had asked us is how easy or difficult was it for y'all to communicate important experiences from your past, and how did that go? So that's mainly with you. Because I'll give context of like, um, for me, I'm an open book, right? I don't really care. Like the past is the past. It's happened, and I will communicate with her like if anything's relevant of like, oh, I went through this, and this is kind of why I'm like this now, and then I'll work on it. Um, how did you feel with communicating?
For me, it was hard because my past relationships were really hard for me.
Yeah.
So it was just really hard to talk about when I'm in those relationships.
Yeah.
Because I was never really able to be myself with them. And it caused a lot of problems for me.
Yeah. But now, like, you can be yourself, right? You can. And what helped you? How how did I help you be yourself? What made you feel like, for the guys listening to that, what part of me made you feel like, okay, I can be myself when I couldn't be in the past, right? What made that change? Especially if you have trauma or anything from the past into the present, like how did I open up, made you feel more you can be vulnerable with me?
Just you constantly reassuring me that it's okay, and that you were here to stay, and that you didn't want to be with anybody else. You want to be with me for a long time. And you constantly reassure me all the time that we're okay, that you're in this for the long run.
Yeah.
That always helps.
Yeah. For a big part is, sorry, trying to put words here, is I have to consciously, every time I'm talking with Mia, right, it's like I have to make sure I'm at a good spot. Like I have to be really patient. I have to be really like, don't blow up, um don't get emotional, right? Upset, anger, or anything like that. It's like when I'm communicating, we talked about this in the anger episode, was like the moment you get upset and angry and you try to communicate your side of the story, it kind of goes out the window, because even if you're right, no one wants to listen to you yelling and being um, upset and mad. So I always have to make sure it's like, okay, let's go at this in a calm manner, and I have to be patient and like, okay, I understand. And in my head, this is like this. I know I'm at a better place, right? I went through more experiences. I had to go through, and it's like I've had the love and support when I know she doesn't. So it's like, okay, let me be that love and support, and make her feel comfy. And it's gonna take a while, right? That's the thing. I think most people don't really understand, and especially in the beginning of relationships, is like love takes that work, right? Both if and albeit if both of y'all aren't ready, like aren't in a place to be able to communicate well, then I don't think y'all should be in a relationship, right? There's things to work on. Whereas I was, and like I told y'all, right, was in the beginning when me and I first met, I didn't even think about going like pursuing her. I was like, I'm working on myself. If the time's right, the time is right. But right now, I'm not gonna pursue. So, um, and here we are. Every time we've had, of course, we have arguments and stuff like that. But it's like we're able to talk it through every time. And a fun, a little rule, a little boundary I set in was that every time we have an argument, at the end, we compromise, and we each say one thing that we could improve on, right? I think that's a big, I don't know the word, like a big missing piece when it comes to conversations and arguments, of like, oh, it's very one-sided. Like, oh, I'm expecting an apology. Oh, I'm expecting, right, I want to be right. Whereas here, I'm always about like, hey, how can we move forward? It doesn't matter who's right or wrong. I just want us to work this out, work it through, and be happy. That's all that matters. That's not about being right or wrong. So I just happen to be right all the time, but I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Me, you can smack him. It's fine.
um,
I'll turn the camera off. No one will see it.
um, so in the end, what makes you happy in a relationship?
Just knowing that I have somebody in my corner at all times. Just like knowing that you're around. Like whenever I'm sad, I can always call you and talk it out with you, and stuff like that. Just makes me really happy to know that I always have somebody in my corner to support me and love me.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just here.
Uh, you said you had some questions, Jeff?
I do. They are geared for you guys. Starting with, what did you first see in each other? Like, what made you want to initiate conversation with each other? So Mia, what did you see in Vin? And Vin, what did you see in Mia?
It was just how friendly he was. I loved how friendly he was with everybody. He seemed like just such a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah, I thought she was really pretty, and just talking to her more, we we were able. Our conversation flowed really well, and I enjoyed when she was able to talk to me. Yeah, I knew she was really shy in the beginning, but after after a few conversations, because after the party we talked on the phone almost every day. I had to go to Eagle Pass. I think I had to drive pretty far, and we were able to talk on the phone for like 2 hours the next day or something like that. 2 days later or something like that. So I knew it was like cool. Like she's willing to, put in the effort to talk to me, and when we're able to talk for 2 hours and enjoy each other's company. Um, yeah, I just enjoyed her company. It was nice. Yeah.
Do you guys see any flaws in each other?
Where do I start?
Oh no.
Ooh!
Damn.
Just kidding.
Damn.
Uh,
That's crazy.
I don't see very many flaws in you. I don't. None come to mind right now.
Really?
Why? Like, or I don't know how to ask this question. I guess because no one's perfect, right? So
Yeah.
why do you say you don't see flaws? Like, what about there's something, what's the word? There's something compensating for it, right? So what do you feel compensates for? Because I have made mistakes.
Yeah.
So what about it is that, how is that not a flaw? So what's compensating for not having flaws then?
It's just how much you've helped me improve as a person. Like, it's hard for me to see anything wrong with you after you've helped me so much.
There's gotta be something though. Maybe he snores, he drools in his sleep. It's annoying the way he eats his food. There's gotta be something.
Maybe it's just that he's such a social person and I'm not. So he likes to go out with his, like, when he wants to go like have lunch with a friend or something, he always wants me to go with him, and I prefer to stay at home. Like, he's too social.
Who's social?
Alright,
What the?
we'll take it.
Well,
What about you, Vin? Any flaws
Um,
you see in Mia?
Flash. Give me 1 second before I say anything. Let me think. Mm, I think the only thing for me is she she's an emotional person. She'll react to things. Um, like I want her to be in a place where when something, life is gonna happen, right? Problems are gonna happen out of your control and things like that. When they happen, I yes, you react to it, right? It's gonna be like it sucks. You're gonna be upset, but I want her to be like, oh, I can handle it. I can deal with it, right? But for now, she'll kind of go through like a panic of like, oh my gosh, like this is bad, like I don't know what to do, and stuff like that. I I want her to be at a place of where she's confident and she's like, okay, like this sucks. I this is really bad, but I can handle it. I can go through it, or I have the love and support. Um, so that's the only thing I feel like is a flaw, but not. But I guess that's more for herself than for our relationship, because in our relationship, she's willing to put in all the effort, whatever's necessary to make sure we work, right? Um, our personalities, there's nothing where it is an obstacle. Right? Like I said, with an argument, um, usually with argument, it it goes to a standstill if both of us are stubborn, right? We're both like, oh, I'm right, I want to be right, like I don't, and you're wrong, right? And nothing really happens, but both of us are like, hey, let's talk it through. What where did we go wrong? And then we have our rule of, okay, both of us can work on one thing, and we're both willing to do that, right? So, um, that's what compensates any like quote unquote flaws. So the only flaw I see is for herself of like, hey, like it's okay when bad things happen. We'll we'll get out of it, right? We have to get out of it. Like we're not gonna I'm not gonna let you suffer and anything like that, you know? So
Hmm. Next one's actually from Cass. How do you handle conflicts together?
mm,
Whether with each other or a general conflict.
I kind of just did it how I did it by myself. Was just like I look at every single angle, talk it out with her on every what's the best um, path moving forward, and then we do it. That's it. Just kind of do it. The only time that's stalling is like what is the best path, making sure, you know, um, this is the best way to handle this conflict.
Mia?
I think it's just like he said, just being able to talk things through. And
Communication?
yeah,
Are there any strengths that you have that you pull out of the other?
What does
So,
that mean?
so like, everyone has their own individual strengths, but then being with someone can pull a part of you out that you didn't know was a strength. So is there anything like that you guys complement each other with? Like, example, Vin, you're very social. Like, does Vin being very social pull a social side out of you, or no?
no.
And that's just one example. It could be anything.
Mm,
Nothing.
I think he helps me be more confident, like about myself and my body. He's always, cause I'm very conscious, like of myself, but he's always telling me to be confident, not to worry about what other people think and stuff like that. So I think that really helps me a lot, especially at the gym, because before I was too scared to go alone. I did not want to go to the gym at all, but with him, it helps me a lot. It gives me a bit of motivation.
Yeah, she'll dress as like a nun at the gym because she don't show off anything. I'm like, go wear that tank top. Go wear that whatever, you know. Go get those booty shorts you want to wear. Like, who cares? Like, I want to see them.
So Vin pulls out your confidence. Vin, does she pull anything out of you?
Um, I guess more of like the bravery and courage. They don't. The best time I saw was when like, a cricket jumped into our car, and I'm like, you know, we're both kind of freaking out, but I'm like, no, I need to do this for us and for her. Like, I can't be a wuss. I can be a wuss, but like, I need to overcome it at some point. Like, so when I have fears or I'm scared or anything, I think about us, I think about her, and I'm like, no, I need to be stronger for her. So she brings out a what's the opposite of fear? I guess it's just a bravery or
Courage.
yeah, she brings out courage in me. What? Because I know I need to. I just have to overcome it. So
How about an easy one? What's an ideal date night?
Just going out for dinner, then coming home.
Out for dinner and coming home. So that's your definition of an ideal date. What about you, Vin?
um, mine is yeah, we can do something together. Anything that we can spend quality time together. Ideally, something new. That'd be kind of like I thought it's always nice. Always do something new together, or so for one of us, it's a new experience. That's kind of the ideal date. I love doing anything new, like watching a new movie, going to see a new thing, or doing something new. That's an ideal night for me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This next one is kind of like a two-parter. They kind of go together. So, what goals do you want to see your partner achieve or strive for? So, Mia, what are some goals you would like to see Vin accomplish? And Vin, what are some goals you would like to see Mia accomplish?
Oh, I go first. For Mia, I want her to finish a real estate school. I want her to find a job or career she's okay with. Like you don't have to be happy in it, but something you're like, I can stay here for a while. Um, that's career wise. That's career and stuff for herself. And then for her, for us is for her to be happy and enjoy life together. That's kind of my goal for her. Yeah.
By you, Mia, what goals do you want to see Vin achieve? What do you want him to work towards?
Mm,
Hmm?
I don't know.
Nothing.
Don't know. I mean, that's an acceptable answer. If there's nothing you can think of, there's nothing you can think of.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years?
Hopefully finish with real estate.
In 5 years? You mean you're
Like with a good career. Hopefully I have you know, hope to be pretty far into my career.
sure?
Maybe starting a family, married.
What about you, Vin?
Um, yeah. I ideally is already married and we have at least a kid. Um, and I mean that's pretty much it. I don't really. When working to like we both have a career we're good with, we're happy with, and it makes enough money to support the family. So, um, not really worried about the house or a wedding because those are super expensive. And finance, like if we have the extra finances, to do it fine. Otherwise, as long as we have each other, I mean that's almost all anyone can hope for nowadays, right? With the economy, so
Right.
yeah. So like, for her, for us, we're okay with like a court marriage, and then if one day we make enough, and then do a full on celebration. But um,
Just so you know, I
yeah.
know a really good ordained minister that can perform the ceremony.
Sure. Oh, is that yourself or something?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I thought about it because the only other option was my pastor who was the word baptized me. But otherwise, I was like, I'm gonna have to find someone to yeah. So
I
yeah.
got ordained because that story I told earlier, the two that met on Tinder and had their first date at my house, he asked me to officiate their wedding.
Sure.
So I got ordained, and then he's like, never mind, you're just going to be a groomsman. I was like, I mean, I'll accept that role too, but I got ordained for this man.
Yeah. Yeah. So if that pastor falls through, then yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just messing with you, Vin. You do not have to choose me for that role because you're not going to be happy with it. It will not be any sort of, like, spectacular thing. I'm going to do it by the book.
Sure. I mean, me and you could talk about that. I mean,
My final question for y'all. What keeps you together?
babe. Well, yeah. Why haven't you broken up with me?
I don't know.
Uh,
Dang!
uh, uh,
Dang!
uh.
Mia, that's where you're supposed to be like, he's so cute, he's perfect, he's great, he makes me happy.
No, I don't do any of that. So, I gotta go, guys. Sorry.
No, I just think that he's honestly helped me grow so much as a person. He's helped me with being able to open up more and get the help I need to become a better person. And I'm very thankful for that and thankful to him.
Um, she, because all I've ever looked for, I just wanted to, like, I just want someone to just love me for me, right? They genuinely like me and they want to be with me. There's no ulterior motives, and she does that, right? She doesn't care. She didn't care I worked at freaking McDonald's, right? That's the thing. It's like she saw me at my worst. I was at my absolute worst in my entire life, and she still chose me out of every guy. Like that year, last year, there was plenty of guys that asked her out and stuff like that, but she pursued me, and I that's all I ever hoped, prayed, and wanted and wished for, and so it's like I'm gonna put. I know what I have, right? That's the thing. It's like I know what I have, so I'm gonna put 110% into that, um, because I know I for 27 years I couldn't find it. So and I not from a lack of trying. So yeah.
Y'all are adorable.
All right. So well, I guess this Quizlet was a nice ending to because Mia kind of gave her testimony through the dating. So um
I don't think we need testimonies on this one.
yeah, we're good. We're good. We're literally almost done. So in so this was so in our connections chapter, this was our dating and romantic partners on the female side for part two. Um, Next week will be marriage part one with Papa Barry. That's gonna be exciting. So, all right, Jeff, with the motto.
Don't forget, we do have our Discord server. It is the Brothers Bonfire. If you're wanting a community, a band of brothers that are going through similar experiences as you, then come join our journey and take a seat at the bonfire. Our Discord link is in the About section. All are welcome.
Along with uploading every Wednesday, we're also streaming the podcast if available on Sundays. So if we're on, come hang with us after the podcast. The stream is a safe space for anyone to just chill, hang, chat about anything. Take care, guys, and thank you so much, Mia, for being our guest today.
Thanks, Mia.
Yay!